Good evening. Another day. It was a long day. I've been thinking about what I wanted to say today because I was busy. Some days you just got to work hard. I think that's important. I think that being willing to say something and then do it is like cause and effect, right? You got to keep your word. Who are you if you don't have your words good? That's how I was raised. Anyway, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite weapons in the arsenal. You read the title and you were like, what is this guy talking about now? Well, what I want to discuss with you is this thing I call forgiveness. And not the type of forgiveness that they teach in church. In fact, it kind of ties in, sort of. And again, as with all the videos, which you should watch from the first one all the way to this one. I just want to throw that out there. I think I need to start saying that. These work in a forward momentum. So by the time you get to this video, you should have already watched like 22 of them before this. So you had a firm basis on why I'm building this particular thought process and then presenting it to you as my form of philosophy of forgiveness. I don't think it is what we attach to it. When you think forgiveness, right? Depending upon where you live in the world, right? Because there's a lot of places in the world, but it's forgiving. It's no longer being mad at someone. It doesn't talk about fear, it doesn't talk about pain. We immediately associate forgiveness with no longer being angry with somebody or angry at a situation. That's forgiveness. And so we're going to pull apart this word because when I look at this word, I realize that it's almost like the word itself has been dissected, right? And they took the pieces that took your power away. And remember, this is just philosophy. And in doing so, took away your ability to use forgiveness to navigate the world. Okay, here we go. So this is how I view forgiveness. When I forgive someone, right? That's it. If, say, there was a physical altercation, I don't know. To me, physical violence is something that it happens and it's over with and you're done with it, right? You don't continue to get all the anxiety and you don't get the adrenaline, like it's no longer happening. But outside of that, just like someone talking bad to you, angry conversation, breakup, whatever, but you feel a certain kind of way about it. When this happens to me, I forgive a person. I don't ask them. I don't need them to see my point of view. I don't need them to pay me back money. I don't care that they ran over my dog, stole my house. Doesn't matter because the end result is I have this weird view of it. And so what I do is just completely forgive the situation. I'm allowed to be angry about it, right? You don't hold on to anger because it only poisons you, but I can feel that emotion. I can feel sadness at a loss or what I perceive as a loss, even though probably beginning into the philosophy of what I've been talking about, free will, loss is really just the ability to add more to your cup. I don't think you ever, if energy just moves, right? If you lose something and everything works in balance, if you lose something, shouldn't you gain something new? Isn't that the balance of it? And remember, you're talking to a guy that firmly believes that knowledge is the ultimate form of currency in the world, that knowledge itself and the ability to think is how I describe wealth. It's how I look at it. So, forgiveness. It's just like anybody that ever owed me money, don't care how much it was, whatever the situation was. I learned from this guy a long time ago. And he had some qualities about him that made him lovable and hateable all at the same time. Everybody's got their things. This guy was quite the character, but he had this thing, and even though he was just like, he was something else, a one of a kind individual, he told me, he said, "Never somebody owes me money, man. I don't care. I can always make more money." He said, "But that's how much money it costs me to lose somebody. So at Christmas every year, I just forgive every debt that someone owes me. And if I see them the next day after Christmas, they don't owe me no money. And I'll help them out again, give them some more money if they need it." This guy sold weed, so he fronted more weed. He didn't care. And so, like, and all his friends and all the people that knew him, they all knew it. They all get like fronts right before Christmas. He forgive him anyway. He didn't even care. And this taught me this super valuable lesson. You never know where you're going to find a teacher at. That the idea of money wasn't worth the community in which the money went to. Like, it didn't matter. It's not like he loaned somebody money to somebody he never met. He was loaning it to people he knew and he liked. He didn't care. It was an interesting social experiment. And it helped me understand forgiveness in a way that I'd never understood before. That the attachment to things over people wasn't worth dimming your life with less experiences because you cut people out. It was better to pretend like it just never happened, which it really didn't, because you can always make more money somehow. I mean, really, if you can breathe and you can make money no matter what. You can make money. If you're too disabled to make money, there's programs to help you, depending upon where you are in the world, right? But if you just forgive, and I've been talking about things such as the river. If you get to see the river video, I suggest you go watch the river video. It's got a cool meditation in it. So forgiveness to me is letting the very idea of what happened go and releasing it into my river and letting it float away. Now, what I didn't talk about in that one, and I just kind of piece things through, it's really funny. It's almost like if you watch all the videos that there's like weird connections between them. Almost like I was thinking about something, we came back to it 3 videos later. It's an interesting flow, right? But I believe that if you start letting things go into the river around you, the existence of that meditation, that what happens is your higher self, whatever you consider God to be, I consider the universe. Like, think about it like this: like, the universe to me is God. And you're in God's playground, sandbox, whatever, and you're like, "I love it here." Really? Yeah, it's beautiful. You don't want to hurt nobody? No, it's great. What do you want? What can I have? Anything you want. And I think that communication, that connection to what I consider spirituality, is simply based on being willing to forgive people. Like, it's not just about money. It's just about how people act and how they treat each other and how they talk to each other and the miscommunications and the misunderstandings and all the bullshit. Yeah, it's fucked up. Some people say some fucked up shit to people sometimes, but you know, none of us really understand what another person is going through in any way, shape, or form. And if you just forgive it and you let it go, it's not your problem anymore. Do you see how this all ties together? If you watch some of my other videos, it starts to make sense. It's almost like I'm leading you along on a journey and I'm just little signs at a time instead of just the whole thing at once, because philosophy, the greats, they would have like a little lesson with a statement, right? And philosophy itself and the idea of it should continue to grow, I think. And I think the idea of philosophy as just one statement, which mine is free will, the philosophy of free will, and what it entails and how it interacts with in realistic ways that we can use to affect reality like we're God, right? And I mean, really, if you're really positive and you're just around cool people and they just appreciate you being around, and they're positive, that's how you build a community of people that are happy. And then your life really is just a bunch of happy people around each other. And then when things get bad, there's a bunch of happy people to help that bad sadness to just get better. And the entire world can probably benefit from this concept. That ties into another video as well. But this idea of forgiveness, it's a weapon, I think, because I've been talking in some of the other videos about, you know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, what if it's as simple as somebody interacts with you, right? And you don't have any way to judge what they're going through or what's happened or anything. You know how it affected you. It didn't kill you, right? You're not dead. They probably didn't put their hands on you, or this would be a different conversation. One of these times we'll do one on just violence. And then, like, so it was some kind of social interaction, and you lost something either socially or of monetary value to yourself, right? And if you let that go, this is just my theory, right? We're just talking philosophy. It seems like if you let that go, then the pendulum and the opposite and equal reaction can happen to the person based on the actual ratio, whatever's going on in their life. And then maybe they just stub their toe. And maybe the karmic retribution that was needed to that person was they just needed to stub their toe. And because you were just pissed off and caused a bunch of other shit that other people couldn't let go of, now you have all these karmic fucking gongs that they can't swing the other way just so that person can stub his toe and the whole thing can be karmically unlocked. And I think that forgiveness is the flow that allows things to happen naturally. And whatever that is, as crazy as that is, or as normal as that is, I think that's where synchronicities fall into place. When you're not holding on to things, so you experience something that you might not have if you weren't looking at it right. It's really that simple. And people have these experiences. This is not like a voodoo or some hippie nonsense. Like everybody across the world has these days that they just had the best day ever and everything went perfect. Everybody's had days like this. Nobody can say they haven't. It's a common denominator that only philosophy seems to want to explore or discuss. But it's real. It's a pattern. And I state to you that I think it's a controllable phenomenon. That it's possible to have an endless series of good days. And in that endless series of good days, there'll be extra good days. And it'll be so overwhelming that they were so good. And it wasn't even that they couldn't have been better. It was that you weren't holding on to no shit that stopped you from really appreciating that date is over a bunch of other good days. And that's all based on, well, I said it to a friend not too long ago. You talk about so and so. I think they're a bum. And now I really think they're a bum because now you tell me that they're living rent free in your head. And I love you, but I don't understand why you would allow another human being, you could just let it go into the flow of time. And I'm sure that based on the actuality of all the aspects of everything that you interacted with that made you feel a certain way, it'll balance out. I just have this faith in that because that's what physics says, right? That everything, and I don't know. I don't think that I don't know how else to explain to you that the idea of letting go, and they say letting God, right? But I don't, I think it's like a word trick somehow. I think the idea that something outside of yourself, right? Because don't forget, I think therefore I am, right? It's a very profound statement. And so if I think about other people, then those other people are currently occupying the same space that I occupy. Everything's of the mind, correct? Everything exists in the mind before anything else, including conversations like these. Everything is thought about before it's spoken, right? There's a process. And if everything's of the mind and you have all these people that you think about these scenarios that already happened and you're not focused on your own life, I don't think the pendulum's allowed to swing. I think they miss the karma. I think the very you want them to just catch karma, I think the very mindset of wanting them to catch karma is what stops them from catching the karma itself. I think this is an understanding that I've reached based on extraordinary circumstances, time and again in my own life, where I've had to just sit back and let the experience happen, knowing that I didn't cause it. And if I just let it be, it'll work itself out. And I've always believed that for a very long time. And I'm still alive. So from the trenches of life, I have to come back and say to you, the viewer, that I think that forgiveness is actually the key to allowing the thing that you thought you wanted, which was the balance, right? You want to be justified. You want retribution in some way, physical, emotional, psychological. You want some kind of balance. You feel like the energy wasn't exchanged correctly. It's weird ways to talk about. Remember, all of this is in the word of forgiveness. We're clear off. Remember, I've led you astray. Look around you. We're way away from what you normally think about when you think of forgiveness. Look how far we've traveled just with words. I just wanted to point that out and put a dot in it so you didn't forget. The idea that you can let go and that the balance of all things will work itself out. Well, would you be willing to try it once? This isn't one of those 61-day things. In fact, I don't know how much stuff you're carrying around when we consider baggage, right? They talk about unhealed traumas and but really what they don't tell you is they make you stay on the couch and sit there and continue to come to them and slowly unpack things is that you could just let them go. And you're like, I can't let this go. And you don't understand. I'm like, but don't you want karma for that? Well, yeah. Now here's the kicker. Here's where the truth of what is, as I see it, remember this is philosophy comes in, is to let it go. There's probably like a 100% chance that you're not going to see the results of the karma. When you think about that, it kind of sucks, right? But the question I pose to you is if you really, in forgiveness isn't forgetting, forgiveness isn't turning the other cheek. You don't never let somebody do that to you again. They gave you a very valuable lesson, and in return, you let go of anything except gratitude for thanks for teaching me that somebody's just a son of a just because of the way they act. or these are the actions, these are the things that led up to it. Like, now I get it. Thank you. And let it go and never think about it again. Maybe, I'll give it 99.9% of the time, you're never going to understand the series of unfortunate events that happened in that person's life or didn't, but I guarantee they at least stubbed their toe. And they'll never know why, but it'll be the balance. And have you ever thought about it years later and you're like, envision just in your mind that person just stubbing their toe and screaming and yelling, they punched the wall, now their hands hurt, they're ah! If you really need it, because you really didn't forgive all the way. But I'm just saying, like, forgiveness is a weapon. The second that you let go of everything about the situation, that's what forgiveness is to me, is completely, you don't forget it. You remember the lesson, but you forget how it made you feel. Forget the person's face. You forget most of the details. You just forget it. And just because, ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I forgot you. That's power. And when you do that, man, I think the universe has fun with it. Call it whatever you want. Insert word, pronoun, verb, adjective. I don't care. A number, a negative number, whatever. But I think that the second you don't want to deal with it anymore, remember, I believe, based on my calculations of thought, that we somehow are creating the experience for ourselves in a bunch of ways, and there's a bunch of determining factors. But if you don't want anything to do at all with the situation anymore, you let it go, then I think that the balance happens. I think because you can create whatever reality you want, you can stop it from happening. It's not like you can take your mind and mind fuck somebody. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, none of your anger and your rage and all your negative thoughts, none of that touches the other person in real life. And you can say a bunch of negative things, whatever you want. You can cause more into it, make it bigger, but that just makes that person even more into your life. You might, maybe, if you can talk enough shit to enough people, get one person to say one thing to that person, and maybe they'll care. See how that works? And you got to go to a lot of nuclear levels beyond that to make it the other person's problem. You see? See all that dumb shit for no reason at all? Or, I state to you, based on this calculation of using forgiveness as a nuclear bomb, you completely delete that situation out of your life as anything more than something that you gain knowledge from. And I'm grateful that happened. Not because any of it happened and not how I felt about it. I'm grateful because now I know when someone starts to act like that or talk like that or start to have those shifty eyes or do weird stuff or things come up missing or something, you can figure out now, right? Because that person, you know, you ain't putting up with nothing no more. And that's just like a cheat code. It's like now you can see that kind of person. You can gauge who that kind of human being is. You see that? And that's good knowledge to have. We hate being tricked. We hate being naive. We hate the idea that someone got over on us. You can't tell me I'm wrong on that idea. On that specific part, right? We all feel that way, don't we? We don't like nobody to get over on us. Varying degrees of how we feel about it. We're not putting up with it, though, are we? So I state to you that through forgiveness, nobody's getting over on you anymore. You gain another portion of this pie I've been showing you on how to be complete control of your life through my philosophy of free will. And it's not mine. I'm sure that I must have figured it out from somewhere else. It's not like it's the way that I'm speaking about words and using it to describe it from my own view of it, that's my philosophy. It's my view on it. And if I've taken pieces from other things and woven them together in ways that people haven't thought about before, then it can't be mine. The only part of this that I claim as my own is my view into it. That's all. And I've never got a chance to ever like flash across the channel and hear anybody speak like this about anything that they're passionate about. I don't care what it is. And mine happens to be philosophy. It happens to be the thought of, why are we here? What are we? What's going on? And I've done my best. I'm still learning as much as I can about anything I can to try to get a firmer grasp of just the whys. And I think it's important. It's as important as math and science and going to the moon. I think that the why will probably lead to a lot of answers that a lot of people will find useful. Why is it that really the only records of Rome that we really have that stood the test of time are the philosophers' words? Why has thought been the most precious thing that's been carried forward to humanity? I know why. I understand the pattern. It's not even about what was said. It was that people would think in a way that was outside of societal norms. How important this art was. And I love art. Oh, I love art. I love doing art. Art's one of my favorites. And this is mind art. This is painting a picture in a way that maybe no one's put together and string it together in a way that like people are like, what did he just say? And I think that forgiveness, the idea of forgiveness, the concept of using it to slay your enemies, to lay waste to nations, if that is the karmic balance that goes backwards, so be it. Let chaos reign. Let the balance be achieved. That's what chaos is. Chaos is the balance of light and dark, right? That's what it is. Balance. It's not destruction. It's not growing. It's the balance that makes it destroy itself and the balance that makes it grow itself. That's what chaos is, balance. And that balance, I think it's achieved naturally, instinctively, like I've talked about in a couple other videos, simply by consciously releasing any thought of whatever it was. And here's the other side of it. Good things too. If you let the good things go, oh man. If you let a good thing go, if you're just like, this is amazing, I don't own it, I don't want to control it, I just want it to be, it'll get even better. And if you're already in full love, right? Not fish love, just real love, you're like, perfect. Then that will just continue to grow. And you won't even have to use forgiveness. You'll just have love around you of people that like all you've done is just be like, you're perfect, you're cool. Oh, you need some advice? Fucking hey, I got lots of advice about shit, but I'm cool. You're good. That that is the way that you can grow your garden if you first have nothing to forgive. So there's layers, right? Because if you don't have to slay your enemies with forgiveness, you built this crazy life for yourself that you just love, right? Because you made it happen that way. Then you become a gardener and you just plant seeds. And that's it. And you just come up with cool ideas and you just plant seeds and that's it. Because and when new things come along, it's bam, forgiveness immediately. Like, well, that only got 15 minutes of my day. Now the rest of my day was badass anyway. Then your coworker has a car wreck the next day, and you're like, damn. See how that works? That's like tsunamis and butterflies creating hurricanes, like forgiveness as a weapon, as the title states, as the most brutal weapon that you have in your disposal to affect the world around you. To simply, I promise, it's the cornerstone through forgiveness, regardless of the situation, no matter, even if you still have to heal from it, and you're still dealing with all the pain and the emotional trauma, and you lost a finger. I don't know, like you're gonna go through all that. That's all right. But if you're going through it, it's happening to you. It's not, no one's doing it to you anymore. It happened, right? Now you're dealing with that, and you got to work through that and go through the process. But imagine as you're healing, because you just let it go, that person's already 10 times worse off than you were. Because the intent, if your intent is to hurt somebody, regardless of what they did to you, you've chosen the lesser evil. You're not using forgiveness to let the universe fuck that person up. You've chosen evil. And by choosing evil, you're now doing the same thing, even as fuck that motherfucker and I can't fucking da 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 da, right? You've now made the decision and told what I consider the universe, look, I got this. The universe, like, all right, do your thing. You have a bunch more shit to work on when you're done. You're like, oh, that's fine, I got this one. But using forgiveness as a weapon, laying waste to all the negativity in your life, power. That's absolute power. It's indescribable joy at the fact that, like, tomorrow could be the worst day ever in like a billion different ways. Like, it's been a long time. You can make anything better, you can also make anything worse in your mind, right? Like, it's a sliding scale. It's your creation, and your mind is only your mind, so you can do whatever you want with it. But even on a terrible, terrible, terrible day, make me very sad or angry or anything else, I would still start at forgiveness and then work on myself. I would just start there, because there's nothing that I've found that says that I can't wish fucking harm. There's no karmic balance that says that I can't feel a certain way. It's only how I act. So if I want to fucking be angry about it for like a week and then let it go and just forgive it and be done with it, that's my right too. I can be as miserable as I want for as long as I want, and nobody's going to stop me. So it's just something to think about. New part of the philosophy to throw in there for you to consider, talk about, share it out. If you know somebody might want to talk to me about this, I love comments. I love to talk to people.